Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Welcome along to episode 672 of The Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show this week, we will be celebrating the 25th anniversary of Love Shine a Light, winning the Eurovision Song Contest for Katrina and the Waves. Kimberly Rew, the man behind the music who wrote that song and other hits for Katrina and the Waves too, as well as Lee Cave-Berry will be joining us for a bit of a natter all about what that and their other work. We'll be joined by Micael McKell. He is playing Cliff in We Will Rock You. That's coming up at the Grand in a couple of weeks' time, so it'll be well worth finding out all about that show. We'll be having an natter with Dr. Alex George, talking all about how we need to have conversations around our mental health. Carol Harrison joins us to tell us about All or Nothing, which is at the Theatre on the Steps in June. That is celebrating the music of the Small Faces. Zoe Turner will be along to let us know what Shifnal are doing to mark the Platinum Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II, as they have got a fantastic series of events right the way from the Thursday through to the Sunday. And we'll be talking about the wonderful Shakespeare Festival, brought to the stage, the outdoor stage at Stafford Castle by the Stafford Gatehouse. Keith Harrison telling us all about that and loads of other great gigs coming up at the venue too. That's all on the way on the show this week. Over the long bank holiday weekend to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, there are all sorts of events taking place in Shifnal. Zoe Turner is here to tell me more about what's going on. Hello.
Hello.
So, how are you involved in all this? What's going on?
I'm a councillor on Shifnal Town Council, and I'm also a member of a community group called Shifnal Matters. And it's sort of one of the events is like a joint event that both parties are organising. So that's how I'm involved in it, as it were. And then the other events on here are from the local church, who we do have quite close ties to.
Yes, St Andrews have a Thanksgiving service on the Sunday, as well as being involved in an awful lot of other stuff. Because there's a huge amount of flyers. You've given me lots of information on all this.
There is a lot of information.
It's Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Friday, you get to see all the stuff that's going on telly. Is that the way it works?
You can do, or there is still quite a lot of. I mean, a lot of places in town are having like their own street parties, or there's some of the shops are like doing best decorated window. I think there's a fancy dress competition around the pubs as well. So, there's going to be something even on the Thursday. It's just we don't have the details of it here. So
on the Friday,
the whole 4 days, for visitors and for people that live in the town, it's just going to be one long party and holiday.
Well, I do like to say, you've got a family fun day on the 2nd. I'm looking at the list. You've got pub teams, tug of war, a colour run, kids fancy dress, vintage classic cars, centre stage musical, ice cream, which is going to be fab, and you got the dog show as well. So there's all sorts of stuff actually happening. So yeah, how does it all work? How do you get involved in this? Is it just a case of turn up on the day?
If you want to, because we do still have some spots left for some of the shows, like the dog show, the colour run. There's still some places left in the afternoon. And if you're a craft store or an art store, or you've got an old car or an old tractor, we still do have a few places left, so you can book onto those first. Because obviously we want to make sure that everybody can get on, so we don't want to be overrun.
Yeah.
We're asking people to book for those through Eventbrite.
Okay.
So if you just go to Eventbrite and search Shifnal Fun Day, it should come up, or there'll be links on our Shifnal Matters 2021 Facebook page. And also I'll put them on my Twitter accounts and things like that as well. So that'll be Zoe Turner. You just need to book on, because there is a small charge for the vehicles and obviously the arts and crafts stores. And there is, I think it's £7.06 or something for the colour run, which is really good, because actually it's a lovely little thing. You get like a medal afterwards, and it's in the shape of like for the Queen's Jubilee, and it says on the back the date and where you did the colour run.
Yeah. And
you get like a band as well, and obviously a bottle of water to refresh you afterwards as well. So yeah, if that's really good, and it's for children from 6 upwards. So, it is supposed to be like for a family event, because it's only a short course. So if you're a proper runner, I don't want to people to end up thinking it's going to be like 3 or 4 miles, because it isn't. It's probably about 1.5 miles, but it's just a bit of fun on the day. So
And that's what all this is about. It's about getting everyone together in the community and having a great time, marking the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, but doing it in a way which builds community spirit, which is exactly what the whole day is about. I mean, are you old enough to remember the Silver Jubilee back in the day?
How many was that? 21?
1977. 1977.
Oh yeah, I do just about. I
was 5 and I remember this sort of happening.
Yeah.
But this is the first real, massive one, because it's the first time we've ever had a Platinum Jubilee in the UK. And I mean, with everything you've got going on that sort of fun day, that's going to be amazing. But then you've got the fair on Saturday.
Yeah, that's at the St Andrew's Church. So yeah. That's in the church grounds, and that's from midday till 4 p.m. And there's loads there as well, lots of cakes, lots of food, bouncy castles.
There's Huck a Duck face painting the bubble stall, making crowns. I mean, you've already got a crown, I think, haven't you?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'll get that out over the weekend, shine it up, and walk around town.
Yeah, I think so. Doing your Queen impression. But as another tug of war seems to be quite popular in Shifnal.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's trying to get some of the older traditional fair games, if you see what I mean, because obviously it is a 70-year reign, and what we find fun now isn't necessarily what was in place at the start when she took over the reign. So I think they're trying to find some of the older games for people to play. So
that's all a bit of fun. So that's all going to be good. So that's 12 through 4, and the Royal Platinum Jubilee Fair, and this was at St Andrews. So that's all taking place on Saturday. Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to the Sunday, to be fair, because there's a grand picnic
with a brass band. What more could you ask for?
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll be taking my picnic round and a chair and everything else. And hopefully the weather's supposed to be nice, I think. So
fingers crossed. It's looking good. Yeah. I think these things. We don't want any rain on the parade, particularly when there's a Jubilee parade in the morning as well. That's all starting at the it's been led by the Royal British Legion, and you're meeting at the War Memorial Club at 10 a.m. So that's worth being part of as well. And so making it a fun day.
Around the town. Yeah. So they'll walk around the town on that, and then it ends back up at the church for the Thanksgiving service at 11. And they are going to be doing that outdoors as well if it's nice, which they did on Easter Sunday, and it was lovely to have everybody outside and the sun shining, and it was a lovely service. So, and obviously they can speak to more people than like just going in the church. So that'll be really nice for Sunday. So a little short walk around. Some Thanksgiving and then some food. What more can you ask for?
No, it sounds brilliant. It sounds like Shifnal's really getting on board with the whole celebrations to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. It sounds absolutely brilliant. And so various groups all coming together and having a great time. So give us all those details again and where we can find out more. Get yourself booked in if you want to be involved on the Thursday Fun Day, which is if you've got a vintage vehicle, whether you want to be part of the craft fair or the other events taking place, including the colour run.
Yeah, so you can either email any questions to shifnal.matters@gmail.com. You can go on the Shifnal Matters Facebook page, which is Shifnal Matters 2021. We're advertising it all on there as well. Obviously St Andrew's Church have got their own Facebook page as well, although a lot of their stuff ends up on ours. Or you can find out on the Eventbrite section as well. So if you just go to the Eventbrite website, which is eventbrite.co.uk, and just search for Shifnal Fun Day, and it'll all come up there what we're doing, and if you want to book onto anything as well, like the colour run or the dog competition as well, actually, because obviously we want to make sure that we've got just enough dogs to be nice and entertaining, but not too many.
These things have to be got right. It's just a few weeks away, not far off now. All coming up. It is the 2nd through to the 5th of June. Friday, there's going to be loads of events in the village anyway, but mostly it's about Thursday and that family fun day, Saturday with the fair at St Andrews, and the events taking place at the War Memorial Club and through to St Andrews later on that Sunday. And of course, loads of other stuff as well. And I think by the sound of things, all the pubs in the town are making an effort too, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, all the pubs and the shops, they've all, trying to decorate themselves and do fun things as well. So,
but as ever, it's fantastic to talk to you, Zoe Turner. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
With Eurovision on the way and an amazing show we're expecting from Italy, it's 25 years since Love Shine a Light was a massive winner for the UK. Katrina and the Waves for the band, Kimberly Rew, the writer, and I'm joined now by Kimberly and also by Lee Caveberry to tell me more about what it's like to celebrate this anniversary. Hello to you both.
Hello,
Hi.
Jason.
How nice to see you.
Well, good to see you too. And it is one to mark, isn't it? Because the Eurovision is notoriously difficult to win and incredibly difficult for the UK to win, and has been for probably more than 40 years. So for you guys to come in 1997 and absolutely blow the world out the water when they heard your amazing song "Love Shine a Light," it must have been a glorious evening for you all.
Oh, of course. You know what success is like. You know that Rudyard Kipling poem. If you can look those two imposters in the face, what is it? Success and failure, or something like that. You'll be a man, my son, or possibly even a woman. But that's what it's exactly what it's like. Like that poem is the last thing that's going through your head at that point. You are just swept along by the whole glorious thing. In fact, we were actually swept along because we were bundled into a car and taken to meet the President of Ireland, who at the time was Mary Robinson. And the weird thing was, she didn't come to the Eurovision gig. She didn't come to the show. She was actually at a party, and we were taken to this party. And and they said to us, okay, this is Mary Robinson, the President of Ireland, and we all said hello. And then they swept us back into the car and took us away again. So there you go. That's what life is like at the top.
Yeah, it's rock and roll in a peculiar way very often. But I mean, because you'd known success with Katrina and the Waves anyway. You also wrote "Walking on Sunshine." So. We can see pension plan looming in both of these tracks, but
no, you can't borrow any.
But I mean, it's such fun music, and I think that's part of what won it. It was catchy, and it really just sort of drew everybody in. And from the nation voting for it to be the UK's Eurovision entry that year after it was played on Terry Wogan's show on Radio 2, you knew you got a good one there. But then again, being the musicians that you all were in the band and still are, you know a hit when you hear it anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, people say to me, didn't you write that song "Walking on Sunshine"? And then I say yes, and then they say, well, why don't you write another one like that? And well, I do. I write them all the time, or I think that's what they are. But it's. I think it's the public. It's very. I mean, pop music is very democratic. It really is decided on the popular votes. People either they like it or they don't. And but I'm extremely lucky. I mean, they have liked me twice in my life.
But yeah, two great hits. I mean, and Lee, what's it like for you in your role in all of this?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of like the tech person, the bass player, the vocalist.
Well, I should explain that, like we have spent the last 25 years, Lee and I, as an item and a musical item. I mean, there is a thing called Kim and
Lee, yeah.
There is a thing called Kim and Lee.
And we've actually made something like 13 albums together since Katrina and the Waves split.
There's a thing called, without wanting to advertise another radio station, there is a thing called Mike Reed's Heritage Chart, and we are what they call these days heritage artists, and we get played on that along with like the Slade Suite and everybody else.
Yeah, 365 Radio
for
as well.
example.
Yeah,
and yes, that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, we have had current chart success, but not many people know about it.
But it's still selling great music. I mean, that's what it's all about. And it's that creativity. And when you have your songs covered, which has happened to you on a number of occasions, but particularly for the 2020 Eurovision event that couldn't happen because of COVID, and the fact that you had all the artists that year singing your song, Kim, I mean, that must have been awesome.
Yeah, that was nice. There was an element with Love Shine a Light. I mean, if there was any deliberation about it at all, of trying to write something that would be kind of universal to everybody. And actually, in a strange sort of way, that worked in 2020. It was a song that everybody could contribute a line to and join in. And there are other great Eurovision songs are available. It could have been Waterloo, but it
wasn't the right song at the right time.
Yeah,
I think I was very impressed with the Eurovision committee for actually choosing that, considering Brexit and everything, pandemic. It was amazing to choose a British song for that. And also how amazing, because Kimberly actually won it twice.
Yeah, that was kind of nice actually, because that particular year we just told the rest of Europe that we were leaving Europe. So they could have been forgiven.
Yeah.
I can't talk today for not choosing a British song as their anthem.
Yes. So yeah.
But so it's 25 years, and what will you be doing? Will you be raising a glass to Eurovision due to it helping provide the lifestyle to which you become accustomed on Saturday night?
Oh, absolutely. We'll be we'll either be gigging, or recovering, or watching Eurovision, or cheating by recording it. The great advantage of that is that, I don't think you even need to record things these days. You just, the whole of the past is available to you, isn't it? Yeah, and there is this format on the contest on the night where you have your 25 songs, and everybody has their own stage set. The spectacular stage set is very much a part of the presentation. So they have to set up and pack away a set 25 times in the evening. So, when they introduce a song, when you see that at home on the telly, first of all, you'll see a little kind of inspirational video.
They're postcards, yeah.
Yeah, and actually that means while you're seeing that, that's what they're doing, in the venue. They're actually setting up the stage, and packing up the previous guys' stage sets. So we might fast wind through that. Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
As a matter of interest, what do the audience in the venue see when they're doing that?
They see a lot of stage hands running around, kind of fiddling about with drum kits, and, fireworks and lighting, whatever it is people need these days to get noticed.
Do they see the same video as everybody else at home or not?
I think the video might be up on the big screen.
I was going to say that they have to talk amongst themselves.
Yeah, there's a kind of appreciated ripple of informed comments running around the auditorium. Yeah, it's like a cricket match.
But would you do it all again if you had the opportunity? Say 2023 song needed writing, and they picked up the phone and said, Kimberly, what are you going to do? Are you going to put us a number together? Would you do it?
Well, I wouldn't say no. You can't have any of my songs go away. What would be the point? I say, look, I've written, as Lee was saying, I've been active for the last quarter century since you last called me. And, all my stuff is available. You can press all stuff, my stuff, Lee's stuff, joint compositions, all the rest of it, and have a listen and help yourself.
So that could work. Well, so there's a lot of stuff out there. If we were going to be suggesting to either the listening public or the Eurovision Selection Committee where they can go to find your work, where can we find you online these days?
Well, we have obviously we have Facebook accounts, we have Twitter accounts, we have websites. We've got kimandlee.co.uk, we've got kimberlyrew.com and leecaveberry.com as well. And we also have Kimberly has a YouTube account with lots of videos as well. Some of them he's illustrated himself. This is pretty good at artwork, believe it or not.
Potato printing.
It's a sort of cartoon style, but it's very good.
So it's easy to scrape the paint off the screen.
Have a fantastic time reliving the moments in your mind for the 25th anniversary of Love Shine a Light doing its stuff. Have a wonderful time watching the Eurovision. Brilliant time on stage. Keep churning out. We want another 13 or 14 albums out of you, at least in the next couple of years. That'd be fantastic. Lee and Kim, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very
Jason.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for asking us.
Yeah.
We Will Rock You will be taken to the stage at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre from the 23rd through to the 28th of May. A fusion of a story by Ben Elton and the magical music of Queen. It is a show which will impress just for the 24 Queen hits that are in there. Micael McKell is playing the part of Cliff and joins me now to tell me more about the show. Hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, and it must be great being part of an amazing show. I mean, it's got the music, it's got the story. There isn't anything it hasn't got, and the setting in this current tour is even bigger than before.
Yeah, it is the 20th anniversary, as you said in your run-up. And I was there on the opening night, in fact, 20 years ago, when Robert De Niro was in the audience, because Robert's one of the co-producers. And I sort of got it then. It's pure entertainment. I was fortunate enough, I'd seen Queen 5 times. And it was a bit of a strange one. In our opening week in Portsmouth, Brian came on stage and played on Bohemian Rhapsody. And the last time I'd seen him play that live, I was in the audience. It was 4 days after John Lennon had been shot. And so it was a really interesting, like, because when he came on, bearing in mind that this story, if anyone looks at it, it opens with, it's about the time when crowds cannot gather, when life is lived online, education's online, music's online. And I'm thinking, we've just been through that for 22 months. So there's a little bit of healing process going on. In the first 5 rows, when Brian stepped out to play the guitar that he and his father had made together, literally the first 5 rows were in tears. And you look around and so most of our cars. So it was like, right, this is the first week. How are we going to get through a tour of this? We can't be crying at the end of every show.
I mean, you've done so much TV and film that you've got to be moved by every one of these projects in some way. And that's how you bring these things to life. And the fact that this show can do that and regularly does that is for people who keep coming back. I mean, you must see faces in the front row that you've seen elsewhere on the tour and in previous productions. It's
one of those weird ones in that, obviously, because of the movie, there's been a resurgence. So there probably was a time when there was diehard Queen fans, but it's now a new wave of Queen fans. And it also, Ben has written this. I've been fortunate. It's the 3rd time I've worked with Ben. Mm-hmm. He directed me in Rod Stewart's Tonight, and also a TV show called Bless. And now, because this was the 20th anniversary, Ben wanted to come and direct this. So, I know his work. I'm very comfortable with his comedy. And this is a man that's written hit TV comedy shows across 4 generations. Mm-hmm. So he is like, 4 decades. He's a brilliant writer. So he understands live because he does stand up. Obviously, the legacy of Queen's live work, everyone, whether you're a Queen fan or not, will remember that 22 minutes at Live Aid when literally Freddie showed everyone how to do it. So it's part of the backdrop of our modern lives. I was talking to somebody the other day, it was Jeanette, in fact, yesterday, and she said, she's 70 years old. She said, but she remembers that day. She remembers that day of Live Aid. And I did an interview for the BBC this morning, and he said, I was 16, and I remember just sitting in front of my TV and watching Freddie just literally hold court, because it was an extraordinary performance. And so there is a responsibility. That's the way I approach it, because I am older. I started my fledgling into this business. I was signed to a phonogram at 19, so then 2 solo deals, Warner Brothers, EMI. So I've had record deals. I understand that. That's where I came from. Then went into acting. So it's a legacy you have a responsibility to as a performer. The song that I sing, written by Roger Taylor, Days of Our Lives, is, if anyone knows the history of Queen, was Freddie's last pop run, shot in black and white. And I have a responsibility for that. And so it's performed, some of the performers in this, Jenny O'Leary, Adam Strong, they are, Ian McIntosh, Ellie Skye, they are extraordinary singers that sing with a little bit more than with heart, with soul. And it connects. And because the music is part of our backdrop, there's it's instant. And we literally have been ripping the roof off of every theatre. We played to 40,000 people in 2 weeks in Cardiff. So it's an extraordinary show with an extraordinary legacy and a responsibility to that legacy.
Yeah, because I mean, people will know the music. I mean, you talk about Days. I mean, the double A side with Bohemian Rhapsody after Freddie's tragic death, and so songs which have been up there and are part of people's psyche. And yeah, kids can come along to the show and they know Bohemian Rhapsody, whether they're something that their parents have played them, they've seen it in their Mike Myers' work in the past. However these songs have been brought to them, they're part of the fabric of our life. And with you talk about the fact that this is the kind of dystopian world which is all online and the experiences we've had, it's going to identify with people even more. And do you think that shapes your performance as well?
With everything, with a film, with a TV show, with a play, it's about the script first. So we are very fortunate. I can be funny because Ben is funny. Mm-hmm. He writes funny. Okay. So it's you have, again, a responsibility to your writer. To have your writer direct you as well is even better, because no one knows better than him. And the one thing although I wasn't a great scholar at school, the one thing I did learn is just choose who you listen to in life. And Ben's one of the few people that I listen to because I know he knows.
And he's written for you in the past, so directing you in this role, he knows how he wants you to work.
Well, he sort of created this role of Cliff as well. The original character of Pop was played by Nigel Planer, who topped and tailed the show. And what Ben has done is he's created a different character that is a rebel leader, that is more of a thread, not a narrator, but he carries you through the show, because these two kids that escape global sovereignty in this quest for this fabled musical instrument that's somewhere on the iPlanet, they meet me and I lead them on this. We go on this quest together, sort of like a futuristic Wizard of Oz, sort of like makes me an amalgam of the Tin Man and probably the Scarecrow.
Well, it's an amazing show. We know that from the reviews. We know that from 16 million people having seen it. And this sort of development of it is just taking it further as it gets bigger and more amazing as it tours, and taking it out on the road. Again, it's bringing it to the people who need to hear this music again and perform live in the right way.
Yeah, and there's almost like it delivers what's on the tin. And we will take you away for 2.5 hours. You will forget all your problems. We'll entertain you. We'll make you laugh. We'll make you sing. And you'll be standing on your feet, shouting for more. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. It is Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre, the 23rd through to the 28th of May. We will rock you. 01902 429212 is a box office number, grandtheatre.co.uk, to get your tickets for what is an absolute must-see show. Check out online for any fantastic ticket deals there and be part of it. It's kind of living your life in that way, isn't it?
Yeah, as I said, I'm very fortunate to be doing this. I've got my 37th movie comes out this year, Prizefighter, with Ray Winston, Matt Hawkins and Russell Crowe, which I managed to shoot in Lithuania during all this craziness. And I recorded an album in lockdown called The Last Picture Show, which will start dropping tracks soon. So I'm very fortunate to be out there, working live, doing what I love, and being paid for it.
Well, an amazing trilogy of projects there. Check out Micael McKell online if you haven't already seen all that he has going on. But for now, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Next week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and having a conversation around your own mental health seems to be a bit of a blocker for many people. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Dr. Alex George, UK Young Mental Health Ambassador. That's a grand title.
Well, it does sound a grand title, doesn't it? Nice to see you, Jason. How are you?
I'm good, and good to see you again. And with so many people having had a very rough time during the pandemic, lockdown and beyond, with the concerns that they've got around probably finances and a lot of other things going on in the world at the moment, mental health is very much in the fore, and having a conversation is a vitally important starting point.
It is, and it's interesting because the research commissioned by Fitbit found that actually only about 40% of us are talking when it comes to our mental health. And I think it is a realistic picture of where we're at. We're making definite improvements, and I suspect probably that figure would be lower even 5 years ago. And I think it's important, as you said there, really, it's learning that, yes, that all the help in the world can be out there in terms of services and all the things we'd love to have to make sure everyone gets the support they need is there. But if you're not able to vocalize the situation you're in, then you're not going to be able to access that support. I think that's what's really important. And when it comes to situations, you look around my brother, clear when we lost him, he didn't talk to us about the situation that he was in. So we would have moved heaven and earth to support him whatever way he needed to. But you have to make that step of vocalizing the scenario that you're facing. But one of the positive things we're seeing as well from research is that talking to a close family member, 22% of people choosing to do that, which is a positive thing. And also people actually aware now, I think particularly since the pandemic, of the importance of things like sleep, healthy eating habits, exercise, and self-care. I think that's something that's really increased, I think, particularly in that positive side of mental well-being, is understanding that looking after yourself can help prevent maybe difficult times from coming.
Absolutely. And so exercise will release hormones in the body, which are going to make you feel better. And through that sort of thing, you can self-help. And even if you don't want to speak out to a health professional, certainly, talk to your friends and family, and maybe do it whilst going for a bit of a walk and measuring it with a Fitbit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, life is all about looking at the different kind of pieces of the jigsaw puzzle and what pieces might be missing. And there's no one thing that fixes everything. Going out for a run is going to cure everything in life. But that as part of an overall picture, when you think about each aspect of what makes your well-being and what makes your life, each aspect and working on each individual thing can overall, improve that picture. As you said, talking about mental health doesn't have to be done in sat down at a table, very serious conversation about it. It can be done going a walk, it can be going for a drive. It's about interacting with a person in a way that you feel comfortable and choosing the right person as well. It's something that you think that can kind of understand or listen. And it's not about expecting, if you're the person listening as well, you're not there to fix a person, right? Okay. Unless you're the psychiatrist, the GP or the mental health support worker, you're there as a friend or family member or as a colleague. And so just listening and saying, look, I'm going to be here with you. And this is, I'm going to be here to support you. And this is what we're going to do, not trying to fix them. So the first part is listening. And the second part is signposting. So it's always helpful for people to know where they can kind of direct people to get support. So I always say, there's a few places for that you can really direct people, but Hub of Hope is a fantastic one because it's basically a website that people can go on, Hub of Hope, put the postcode in as to where you are, and it'll tell you all the support services that are in that area, charity and otherwise. So it's a good one to remember because hard to remember all the individuals sometimes, but that is a good one, I think.
So Hub of Hope is one thing to look out for. But it is about having that conversation. So we're not expecting you to be able to fix, but actually having that chat. And even if you're going for a walk or run alone, it's having that time where your mind can actually work through the issues that you're seeing on a day-to-day basis rather than just having them all bottled up whilst you're too busy to get on and actually have some time for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. I think it's just being aware. Self-awareness is an important thing. And, notice changes in your behavior, changes in how you're reacting things and your interests. And those are good signposts, I think, to yourself that you need to probably think about what's going on and whether you need some support. And I always say to people, if you're asking yourself, do I need help or do I need to talk to someone? That is your answer. And if you're having those thoughts, then that is your indicator to speak out.
Yeah, and because many people who are having problems or are having things that are mounting up are very good at hiding it because they don't want to show weakness to the outside world. It isn't a weakness. It is actually a strength to be able to have that conversation.
Absolutely, it is. Being able to, talk to people, vocalize how you feel is a real strength. And, resilience is about being able to bend and flex and come back to your original state. Resilience isn't, just coping with the pressure to the point where you snap. You need to be able to learn to reach out and speak to people, to exercise, to do all the things you need to do to deal with pressure that you're under. Because at the end of the day, we all have ups and downs in life. There's good times, there's bad times,
Yeah, and sadly, those that we have lost to mental health, the amazing strength that they will have gone through to get to the point where they moved on from this world. I mean, that if we can channel that inner strength back into living the life and getting through the situation that they found themselves in, actually, you've got somebody who's going to be well-rounded and ready for whatever the world throws at them.
Absolutely. When you go through tough days, tough times, you learn a lot about yourself. And when you come through those times, you learn a lot of coping mechanisms and ways to get through. And you also remember, look, I got through that difficult day. I can get through this one as well. And, life is, I think life's beautiful. Life's amazing. There's so many highs in life. And we have to accept that with the good days come the bad as well. But it's how we deal with those difficult days that really matters.
Well, Fitbit have done this research so we can see more of a background on where we are. The outcome is we know we need to talk. Where can we go to find out about all of this information and everything they've picked up in the survey?
Yes, you can head to the Fitbit website, and also I'll share a little bit on my socials as well if people want to have a little look at that, so I can share a link on there.
So look out for Dr. Alex George on the socials, and also, as you say, Fitbit, where they have got that information too. Well, Dr. Alex, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
On the 24th of June at the Theatre on the Steps in Bridgnorth, you'll be able to experience the whole story of the Small Faces. The All or Nothing experience is what will be taken to the stage. Carol Harrison is here to tell me all about the show. Hello.
Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm all right. I trust we find you well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very good. Very happy to be back doing live shows. Back out there on the stage is fantastic after these last 2 years. So
I know.
It's brilliant. Yeah,
that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, and you're so used to appearing live, as well, of course. I think things like EastEnders, which is where many people know you from.
Yeah, many people do, and many other things on telly. I've been in their living rooms for the last getting on 50 years.
Yeah, but longer than you care to remember, but not long enough for anyone. Yeah, we want more. Yeah. That's what we want. We want more. That's how it works.
We want more, but we want live. And it's a fantastic show that we're bringing to Bridgnorth Theatre on the Steps on Friday, 24th of June. The show actually is my creation. I wrote it, directed it, produced it, and it opened in London in 2016, and it was a really big success, and we toured it all around the country. So we've got a lot of fans out there already. It toured for 2 years, and then we went into the West End. So it was a huge hit. And some people have been to see the show like 30 odd times, 30, 40 times, which is brilliant. So it's kind of like a family now. But obviously this is not the whole entire musical that was on at the West End. That's why it's called the All or Nothing experience, because this is the story told through the music of the Small Faces, and it's a great show. So we still have the narration and the story there, but they're amazing, iconic sound as well. And then in the second half, we have a right old sing-song and knees up and do lots of the really groovy sounds of the 60s from, the best loved bands of the 60s, the Stones.
Because I mean, the music from the time is absolutely amazing, but the stories behind these bands were awesome too. And it's amazing how some of them managed to live through these things, isn't it? Let alone survive to this day as some of these acts still do. But where does the story of the Small Faces come in for you? What's your link to it?
Well, I mean, it was a passion project for me because I grew up in the East End of London, in an East Ender, the same place as Steve Marriott, who's the lead singer of the Small Faces, and so I knew him when I was a kid, and he was an amazing talent, just absolutely phenomenal, and he was also a mod, which I was, and once a mod, always a mod.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to tell the story about mod, but because of my connection with Steve Marriott, he was friends with all my cousins who were a little bit older than me, and they were all mods together. It was a no-brainer to sort of put their music to the musical that I was writing. But then, of course, their story is so fantastic. It's the classic rock and roll story of exploitation and betrayal and fights and, at the same time, this amazing talent and the fact that the 60s was such a phenomenal time where, that everyone we're saying, oh, it's just a flash in the pan. But of course, like you said, here we are 50, 60 years later, and their music is still here. And we still have fantastic bands like the Stones and the Who and stuff. Sadly, there's only one remaining small face, as it were, of the original band. And also that was another sort of tribute to him. But the music lives on because it influenced so many other artists like Paul Weller. His idol was Steve Marriott. He modelled himself on him. Steve Craddock, who's a good friend, who, the whole Britpop movement, and there's always revival in mod. So the story is, it's a fantastic story of success, tinged with bittersweet, but it's a true celebration of their music, and, everybody wants to dance and get up and sing and laugh, and so it's a fabulous experience and a wonderful rocking night out.
Yeah, and it's like part theatre show, part storytelling, and part party. I think you've got it all here, haven't you?
Well, that's the way to do it, isn't it? We all want to party.
but you got classic hits.
Still raving up this age.
Yeah, well, that's the way. But throwing yourself around to Itchy Park, or what you're going to do about it, and all these songs.
All the iconic songs.
Part of that story though, and it's the background to how these songs came about, because each of those songs they are storytelling songwriters, aren't they?
Well, they are very much influenced by, like, Itchy Park was a bomb site that we used to play on. That it's like, it's not some great royal park, it's this bomb site, and they all have a story, and that's what I love about them. And they very much use the London language in that as well, which I really wanted to celebrate, because it is my language, and I still want it to be heard and spoken, and realize how colourful and funny it is as well. So Itchy Park is the story. It's about the haves and the have-nots, really. And because Steve was an actor as well, and he was very much influenced by musical, and he was originally in the first production of Oliver. And played Artful Dodger in that as well. So he was very much into theatrical storytelling as well. And a lot of their songs reflect that, like, wouldn't it be nice to get on with my neighbours, Lazy Sunday and stuff like that. There's so much storytelling in all of their music, as well as this, he had one of the most best and blessed voices of all time, the best blue-eyed soul singer, and I think they're one of the most underrated bands of the 60s, but not by people in the business, not by other musicians, because to them they really are iconic.
I think it's that split between the mods and the rock and roll, the blues influences, the skiffle influences, and all of those. It's almost as if one is the favoured choice when it comes down to representing the 60s. But this music, got going in 1965. They were at the heart of everything that was happening, and it's different to the Stones, but it is still the same energy and the sort of vibrancy that is there, and they're just amazing tracks. And it's one of those things. These are legacy tracks, aren't they? They will live forever.
They will live forever, yeah. And as and the fashion is very iconic of that time as well. As for the sound, I mean, the bands at the time were all into the listening to R&B and the black music at the time, and a lot of that was much more successful here than it was in the States at the time, because there was segregation. And P.P. Arnold is a good friend of mine who worked with the Small Faces as well. She became much more famous here than she was in her own country in the States, and so the youth loved that music and loved all where it stemmed from, the Delta blues, the Memphis blues and all that stuff. And they created, like the Stones and the Who, they created their own British type R&B sound, which is amazing, and that's what we're hearing in their songs as well as all the storytelling and the British influence with it as well. So it's a heady mixture, really.
But how do we see the lineup on stage? How is the story told? Who have you got in there?
Well, we've got a lot of the musicians from the original band, and we also have a narrator who tells us the story, who's the sort of iconic mod, and tells the story as it goes through the years, and you know, towards the time of when Steve Marriott walked out on the stage at the Ali Pali, just dramatically, and that was the end of the Small Faces. But of course, then they went on to do these, have these amazing careers. He was Humble Pie with Pete Frampton, and the Faces. You know, Rod Stewart became the singer of this with the Faces. Kenny was in the Who, and Ronnie wrote most amazing music as well, with Pete Townsend. So yeah, so it kind of sparks that off. It's just, you know, the music and the narration of that, and dancing, iconic dancing, and the fashion as well is all there.
And I'm going to guess you're enjoying the fashion yourself a bit when you're part of this.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the fashion. Yeah, in fact, when we did the stage show, you know, a lot of the costumes were actually from my wardrobe. When we started off, you know, it was just, yeah. I think, as you say, once the mod, always the mod. So you have that. The fashion was very much part of it, and certainly being a mod is very much fashion is part of it. You know, like Stevie said, you know, you can knock my music, but don't knock my tailor, you know. So I think that was a really way of working class people expressing themselves. You know, one of the lines in the show that I say is, you know, that they thought just because we come from a place full of bomb sites and no bathrooms, we can't have style and taste, you know. Well, we told them where to go with that one, you know, sort of thing. So it is very much the rebellion of the class thinking of the time, you know, that is reflected in it as well.
Well, you can live that rebellion and enjoy the music and immerse yourself into the period.
Yeah. It's a totally immersive experience, because we do encourage people to get up and dance and join in. Yeah, definitely.
It is all or nothing experience at the Theatre on the Steps. It's the 24th of June. 8 o'clock is when the curtain goes up. 01746 766 477, the box office number, or nip along to theatreonthesteps.co.uk, and you can see all that's going on, get a little taste of the show, and make sure you get yourself down there, get your tickets booked. And it's exceptionally good value for money at 20 quid. You can't say fairer than that, can you?
Absolutely not.
That sounds good to me. Oh, Carol Harrison, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the show. And thank you for being part of the lives of the Small Faces that actually brought this to fruition from the early days.
Oh, but it's my honour and pleasure. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing everyone there at the Theatre on the Steps.
There's plenty going on, all centred around the Stafford Gatehouse, including a Lit Fest and their amazing outdoor Shakespeare production. To tell me more, I'm joined now by Keith Harrison. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jace. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. Are you all right? Keeping busy? I think last time I saw you was at the Panto.
Oh, yes, it was. Yes.
So what is on the way? Because we'll come to Shakespeare in a bit, but you're very excited by Lit Fest in association with the University of Wolverhampton.
That's right. That's the first time we've done this in Stafford, and it's a literature festival. So there's all sorts of events going on centred around books and reading and poetry and storytelling. And as you say, it's in conjunction with the University of Wolverhampton, who are working on a big project that we're involved in as well. It's called Stafford Learning Town. Mm-hmm. So this is something that's bringing together lots of groups and of people in Stafford. And the Lit Fest has got all sorts of events on. Musically, we've got the band Lindisfarne. You might be too young to remember Lindisfarne.
I have already spoken to Lindisfarne about this gig. So, yeah, that's on the way.
Fantastic. I mean, they've got some brilliant records from, I'm showing my age now, but going back to the 1970s. And so it's a big thing for us to have Lindisfarne in, and that's going to be a fantastic night. And that's part of the Lit Festival. Other events that we've got on, we've got the author Joanna Trollope. Do you remember? Have you heard of Joanna Trollope? Very famous author. And she's given a talk about her work. She wrote The Rector's Wife. She's had quite a few things that have been adapted for television over the years and films. And so she's here, which is another big coup for the Gatehouse to get someone like Joanna in town, talking about her work, talking about her life, how she came to be the successful author that she is now. And I think she's got a fascinating life story as well. So that's going to be a massive thing for us as part of these part of the events. We've also got 2 or 3 plays on. We've got a fascinating play called The Second Best Bed, which has got great Midland connections, and it's about Shakespeare. We'll come on to Shakespeare at the castle in a moment. But when Shakespeare died, he left his wife, Anne Hathaway, only one thing in his will, which is bizarre, and that was the second best bed. And nobody quite knows why that was. So this is a play looking at that and looking at the ins and outs of why the bard only left this woman who was the love of his life, allegedly. All he left her in his will was the second best bed. Maybe it was an in-joke, we don't know, but the play explores that, and I think that's a fascinating thing.
But what are the dates for the whole literature festival then?
The Lit Fest runs on the 20th to the 22nd of May, so it's coming up not this weekend. What are we? Not this weekend, not next weekend, the weekend after. So starts really 2 weeks today. And with a program of events there, and there's, like I say, there's all sorts of things going on around the town. If you Google Stafford Lit Fest, you'll see a whole raft of things. We've got on Friday the 20th, on the opening night, we've got a play downstairs. Again, this is a fascinating story, based on a true story of the night that Agatha Christie went missing, and nobody knew, and it was almost like an Agatha Christie mystery. But actually it was true life. So somebody's written a play about this now, about the night that Agatha Christie went missing, and looked at what actually happened, because there was a big drama about it. It was headlines in the news at the time, famous crime writer goes missing. And so the play is called Where is Mrs Christie? And I'm really looking forward to that, because I think it's a novel idea in more ways than one.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't tie with the Doctor Who episode, which tried to explain it with giant wasps. It's not that, is it?
Oh, well, maybe you're ahead of me there. I don't watch Doctor Who. Last time I watched Doctor Who, it was Tom Baker.
I have to admit, I haven't seen it since the David Tennant days properly, I don't think. But so they touched on that, but I think it's probably less scientific than the play. The play is going to be a bit more grounded, I'm going to guess.
Maybe she wasn't it. Maybe she was in the TARDIS. But
I think is a possibility.
I think the play is a bit more grounded than that, but it's a fascinating story. And then the other event that we've got is again a fascinating story. It's called Posting Letters to the Moon, and these are based on the true life letters between Celia Johnson. You remember Celia Johnson, the actress, Brief Encounter, and her husband Peter Fleming, who again was famous at the time. And he was based out in the Far East during the war, and these are her wartime letters. And they're actually read by her daughter. So they've put together a play based on this called Posting Letters to the Moon, which is it's a fascinating snapshot, not just about this love story between somebody who was a very famous actress at the time and her husband who was serving in the war, but also about the social life at the time, how society was during wartime in the war years. So again, I think that is a fascinating thing. That's called Posting Letters to the Moon. That's on the Sunday night, the 22nd of May. That's one of the things that closes the Lit Fest. But earlier on in the day, on the Saturday, we've got a poetry slam. We've got storytelling. There's all sorts of things going on at the Gatehouse on that weekend. And I say it's all in conjunction with the University of Wolverhampton, which is our prime sponsor down here. And those links between Stafford and Wolverhampton, we get loads of people coming up to the Gatehouse from Wolverhampton, one of my favourite cities, and a place I know very well. So yeah, it's that link is getting stronger by the weeks really that we've got there with Wolverhampton.
Absolutely. Search out for the Stafford Literature Festival or nip along to staffordgatehousetheatre.co.uk and you can see details of all the events and get yourself along to those. Pick something and be part of it. Sound like a fantastic event. But something I'm really looking forward to is the Outdoor Shakespeare Festival, all taking place at the wonderful Stafford Castle, 24th of June to the 9th of July. And it is amazing. It is the jewel in the crown of the Stafford Gatehouse calendar.
It absolutely is, and tickets for it are flying out, and we've sold nearly 5,500 tickets so far. The capacity is about 11,000. But we've changed lots of things this year. I'll come on to in a minute, but it's very unusual for us to have sold so many tickets at this stage. I don't think it's ever happened before. And so that is a huge vote of confidence. And I think, again, it shows that people are really keen after everything that happened with COVID, because this show was meant to take place in 2020, then it was 2021, and obviously COVID put the mockers on those two events. So we've got people now been waiting 3 years to see this show, and it's almost like there's been a great unleashing of feeling that people can't wait to get up there, back up to the castle and see it. And as you say, you know, this is the 30th anniversary of Stafford Shakespeare events up at the castle. And as a Stafford chap who's lived here for 30 odd years, I remember going to the very first one. But I've probably been to about 20 of these. And if you've never been before, as Jason says, this is the highlight of the year for everybody in Stafford. And we get now people coming from all over the country. I put something out on Facebook last week about how tickets were going and one or two things. And there were people responding from the Isle of Wight, from Scotland. Somebody got in touch to say they're coming over from Bruges. You know, this is a huge event, and it's a massive thing for the town now, because people are saying to us, can we recommend hotels? What are good restaurants? So, you know, to get all these people here and to get a real buzz about it. I was down in London a couple of weeks ago. And when it was some sort of showbiz event, you know, as they are, and when I said where I was from, the first thing they said was, "When's your Shakespeare Festival taking place?" And this was, you know, they didn't know much about the Gatehouse, they didn't know that much about Stafford, but what they knew about was that we had this brilliant Shakespeare Festival. So I think that's how the buzz about it is spreading now. This was down in the West End, and out of the blue, somebody found out and said, you know, when's the Shakespeare Festival? I mean, so I think it's getting a lot more national exposure now. We've had, you know, TV companies saying that they want to come up and do some filming when we get the set up there, and it's a huge effort just to get the set up there. It's currently being built in a storage facility in Stafford, and so we're 2 months out, and the guys have been working on this set for 2 weeks already. So, you know, you can imagine how big it is, and the effort and the operation to move it from the storage facility up the hill to a castle, you know, which is harder to
walk up when you're on your own.
These things were designed to be difficult to get to, you know, up the hill, and so it's a hell of an operation, really, to see it in place. But as I say, this year we've made lots of changes. We've used the time, the couple of years that we've had off, to just rethink how we do a few things. So in terms of the facilities, this is a big thing. I'll start off at the bottom, literally. The toilets have been improved, and they are now sort of all singing, all dancing, fancy toilets, the best toilets apparently you could get for an outside event. So that's a big thing. We're doing the bar and catering is by the Post House Bar and Grill. If anybody's been in Stafford, they'll know that the Post House is probably the top restaurant in Stafford, certainly an events company. So we're one of their first events. They're doing the Latitude Festival, which is a big music festival down south. Again, they're doing national events, but they're doing ours as well. So that's going to be great, because everything will be first class there that they're doing. And other things we've changed the layout of the seating now. So it used to be, once upon a time, we had three in a bit of a horseshoe. Now it's in a sort of shallow V. So the stage, which is 25 meters wide, will come across, but the actors will almost, when they're at the apex of that V, they'll almost be in among the crowd, sort of thing, because you've got better sight lines, people are in among it, you're a lot closer to the action. And of course, with it being Romeo and Juliet, there's a lot of action. You know, there is. I don't want to give away any plot spoilers, but you know that there is a lot of action in it. There's a lot
I think after 500 years, that is allowed. To be fair, but
well, it's not a happy ending.
No, we know that bit, but it's the journey as well, which is the important bit, and the fact that the setting for this is going to be interesting too.
Yes, I mean, it's obviously the set is as I say, it's huge, and you've got the balcony, we've got other things, and it's a really interactive set. Actually, talking to the guys who are putting it together and the production manager, there are lots of surprises in this set. So obviously, when you've got a set like that, it needs to be adaptable throughout the course of the play. But some of the features in this and some of the clever use of space and the clever uses of design are just far above anything I think I've ever seen up at the castle. Mm-hmm. And the imagination, the creativity that's gone into it this year is just incredible. It's being directed by a guy called Tim Ford, and Tim has directed Shakespeare plays, outdoor plays all over the country. And these days, he also happens to be the manager of the Gatehouse Theatre, so he's my boss. But that's not just why I'm saying he's really good, but he is very experienced. He's got loads and loads of good ideas. And we've also got an award-winning musical director for it as well. And they were playing me some of the music the other day, so I can't give too much away about it, but the music is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's a sort of medieval take on modern music, if I can say that. And I think it's one of those things where you're listening to it and you think, hang on, this is that, and but it's played on traditional instruments, and it's absolutely brilliantly done. It just sits in with the period of the time, but also it will make people smile because they'll have a recognition of knowing that actually this is that song from the 1980s, so some 80s classics in there in a way that you've never heard them before. But it's set in it's a traditional dress, so it's not a modern dress, and it's a fascinating setup. So we're all looking forward to it.
That is going to be amazing. Of course, you've got the rest of the programme of events which take place at the Gatehouse week in, week out as well. Going to be difficult to go through all of those, but chuck me a couple of highlights and let me know what Panto is going to be this year as well.
First of all, I mean, we've got some comedy always goes well at the Gatehouse. We've got Rod Gilbert coming up. We've got Gary Delaney, who's sold out as well. I mean, these comedy shows sell out in the blink of an eye. And we've got comedy in the Met, which is normally on a Friday night and sells out. We've got it on a Wednesday night in a couple of weeks' time because we've got the Lit Fest of the weekend. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for your Friday fix of comedy, it's on a Wednesday this month in May. And that's a brilliant thing, comedy in the Met. What we do is nobody ever knows the names of the comedians who are going to turn up, but they appear and you're thinking, well, who is it? Sometimes they fly very much by the seat of their pants. But they turn up and you can have some really big names there that have been in there down the years, or they'll just be people who are just on the up sort of thing and trying out new material. Sarah Milliken is somebody who comes in on a fairly regular basis, and she brings some comics with her as well. They do a show called Playground. I don't know if you've heard about this. And again, they come in and they try out new material. And Sarah brings some huge comedians who play the big arena at the auditorium upstairs, and people flock. These tickets again sell out really quickly. So if you see on the website anything Playground, get in there quick because they will sell out within half an hour. Other big events big shows we've got coming up. We've got a fantastic Neil Diamond show. Hello again, Neil Diamond. Mm-hmm. I'm a big Neil Diamond fan. I think he's fantastic. It's not just Sweet Caroline. There are so many other songs that he's done that he's just one of the greatest songwriters of all time for me. So I'm a massive Neil Diamond fan. That's on the 14th of May. And then on the 19th, we've got one of the first really big dance shows of the year, which is Dracula, which is Vortiz Dance Company. And again, it's set to modern music, some traditional music, some classical music, but also people like Lou Reed, Philip Glass, and visually the pictures of this and the video that we've seen, it is just mind-blowing to have a show like that in Stafford. It is, you'd think you would be anywhere in the West End. So that show is up on Thursday, the 19th of May, and that is an amazing, and of course it's Dracula, which is a brilliant story. Larry Dean is on. I don't know if you've heard of Larry Dean. He's another great rising comic. He's on in the Met in a couple of weeks' time. Lindisfarne, and then again another one talking about great singer-songwriters. On the 28th of May, we've got the Bowie Experience, and just rattling through the Bowie tunes that they put together, and they do the full thing. They just run through his career really from A to Ziggy, as they say. I don't know why they didn't say from ashes to Ziggy, but I think it goes backwards from there. But that's going to be absolutely fantastic as well. So we've got that. Then we're into the Lit Fest, and then we're coming into Romeo and Juliet. But you're asking about the pantomime this
It's always
year.
worth teasing Panto. Absolutely worth teasing Panto.
Jace, you are invited to come to the ball.
Okay.
And it's Cinderella.
Hey, so that's going to be a good one. It's everyone. That is one of the top pantos. I mean, there are often not many different varieties of panto, but Cinderella is one of those that absolutely shines every time, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, after what we did last year with Snow White, which was, as you know, you came to see it, I know, and I hope you liked it.
I did very much.
It was absolutely brilliant. So we've set the bar high there in the past 12 months, and now Cinderella, we've said to the production team, look, you've got to go big. And so we're talking some huge names to be in it this year, and we're all very excited about who we're going to get. I think Stafford's got a great reputation now because people love coming to the Gatehouse. It's a lovely theatre, a lovely town. They know it's going to be packed audiences. Everything is geared up. So I think it's one of those things whereby the cast are looking at it and saying, Stafford's a really great place to go and spend, because obviously the cast are here for 4 or 5 weeks doing the show over Christmas. It's a big thing for them. And the fact that they like the town and it's a nice place and there's nice bars and restaurants and the Gatehouse is a great place. I think that serves as well in attracting big names. Obviously, we had Maureen Nolan, Rebecca Keatley, Keith Jack last year. So we're hoping for people of that ilk again. And some of the names they're talking to, I am like, wow, please, yes, let's get these people in because it'll just be a fantastic thing for us. But again, we just know that the production values of the pantomime are far beyond really what we should have for a theatre of this size in the provinces in England. And I think, you know, what we're putting together is an absolutely first-class show that would stand up against something you'd get down in London or in one of the big cities, and it's here on your doorstep in Stafford.
So, and I know people love going to all of the different pantos in the area. They head off to Wolverhampton, Stafford. They head up to Stoke to the area, and they head into Brum too. So if you can fit in 4 or 5 pantos at Christmas, you're going to have an absolutely amazing time. Yours runs from the 9th of December through to the 31st, and finishing off on New Year's Eve, and that must be brilliant fun for everybody too.
Yeah, and I know, because I mean, I love the Grand. I've been going to the Grand for years, and I know that they used to have one of the longest running pantos in England, didn't they? And they carried it on to about 2 or 3 weeks into January. I think with ours, we get to New Year's Eve. It's a big finish on New Year's Eve, and yeah, that again, the New Year's Eve one that the Snow White just had, the place was packed. There was a massive send-off, every standing ovation, all the cast loved it. It was amazing. So we're looking for the same again this year. It's funny that the people come on the first night, they come on the last night, and certain people, quite a few people actually last time, they came 2 or 3 times during the run. I kept seeing people, and I kept saying, didn't you come last week? And they say, yeah, we're bringing my auntie this time, or we're bringing grandma, we're bringing the kids. So that again is a great thing about it. And Christmas, it seems mad, doesn't it? What are we in May, and we're talking about Christmas?
You've got a plan for Christmas, so this is the time to get your tickets.
It'll be on us before you know it.
Yeah, and
the thing is, if you buy your tickets now, when you get to Christmas, they're all paid for. You know, you don't.
That's it. Yeah, and you can gift wrap them for Christmas as well. And then at the start of Advent, there's one of your Christmas presents, and it's panto tickets. It should be good. Right, StaffordGatehouseTheatre.co.uk. See the full lineup there. We will be talking more once you got your panto cast all lined up, and I'm hoping to come in and meet them as we have done previously, and it should be an absolutely fantastic time. Meanwhile, though, your Lit Fest's on the way, your Shakespeare's on the way, and these are all amazing events. Very much looking forward to it. Keith Harrison of the Stafford Gatehouse, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jace.
That's a lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 673 next week. I'll see you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.